"You can still walk away," the social worker whispered. Those words echoed through Frances Carter's chest, while she stared through the nursery glass at the tiny baby wrapped in a pale yellow blanket. The child was asleep. Tiny fingers curled into fists. Small lips parted softly, completely unaware that the world had already decided she was unwanted. Welcome back to the Revenge Vault. Tonight's story is about betrayal, rejection, quiet revenge, and a daughter who waited 14 years to expose the truth in front of everyone who once abandoned her. But before we begin, tell me this in the comments. Do you believe family is built by blood or by love? Now let's begin. Frances was 26 years old, single, working 2 exhausting jobs, living in a cramped apartment above a laundromat where the walls shook every night from the machines downstairs. Her life wasn't stable, not even close. But somehow, the moment she saw that little girl, none of that mattered anymore. The social worker stood beside her quietly. "She's been moved 3 times already," she admitted softly. "Nobody wants a long-term placement." Frances looked through the glass again. The baby opened her eyes slowly. Huge brown eyes. Tired eyes. The kind of eyes no infant should have. "What's her name?" Frances asked. The woman hesitated. "She doesn't officially have one yet. The paperwork says Baby Monroe." Something cracked inside Frances immediately. A child without a name. Without permanence. Without anyone willing to fight for her. Frances stepped closer to the glass. The baby stared directly at her, then slowly reached upward, straight toward her. That should not have mattered. But it did. It mattered enough that Frances couldn't stop thinking about her afterward. At work. At night. During dinner. Everywhere. She tried convincing herself it was ridiculous. She wasn't married. She barely had savings. And her parents already criticized every decision she made. Adoption. Especially foster care adoption. They would never accept it. Especially not a child abandoned at birth. But every time Frances closed her eyes, she saw that tiny hand reaching toward her. So she went back. Then again. Then again. Until one afternoon, the social worker sat across from her and quietly asked, "Are you considering adoption?" Frances froze. Because the truth terrified her. She already loved the child. And love always came with consequences in her family. Her mother spent Frances's entire childhood obsessed with appearances. Perfect church clothes. Perfect grades. Perfect family reputation. From outside, their home looked warm and respectable. Inside, everything was conditional, including love. Her father rarely disagreed with her mother. He simply stayed silent, while Frances spent years trying to become acceptable enough to earn affection that never fully arrived. So when Frances finally mentioned adoption during Sunday dinner, silence swallowed the table. Her mother slowly lowered her fork. "You're joking." "No," Frances answered quietly. "A foster child." "Yes." Her father leaned back immediately, disappointed already. Her mother stared at her like she had announced something shameful. "Frances, those children come with baggage. She's a baby. You don't know where she came from." Frances felt anger rising. "I know she needs someone." Her mother laughed once. Cold. Sharp. "You are throwing your life away for someone else's mistake." The room went silent. Frances felt her hands shaking beneath the table. "She isn't a mistake," she whispered. But her mother was already shaking her head. "If you do this, don't expect us to support it." Frances drove home crying that night. Not because she was uncertain, because deep down she already knew. She would choose the child anyway. And 14 years later, that decision would lead to a moment none of them could ever erase. The courthouse smelled like old paper and stale coffee. Frances sat alone on a wooden bench, clutching a tiny stuffed rabbit, while the baby slept peacefully in her arms. No family surrounded her. No parents. No celebration. Just silence. And the little girl, who was about to become her daughter. The judge smiled warmly. "Are you ready, Ms. Carter?" Frances looked down at the baby. The child yawned softly, then wrapped tiny fingers around Frances's hand. And suddenly, every fear disappeared. "Yes," Frances whispered. 20 minutes later, the adoption became official. The little girl finally had a name. Lily Carter. Frances cried instantly. Not because the moment felt dramatic. Because for the first time in years, something in her life felt completely right. Outside the courthouse, rain poured heavily across the pavement. Frances strapped Lily carefully into the car seat and laughed through tears. "Guess it's us against the world now," she whispered. She meant it jokingly, but she had no idea how true those words would become. When she arrived home that evening, a white envelope waited beneath her apartment door. Her mother's handwriting. Frances already felt sick before opening it. Still, she unfolded the paper slowly. Every sentence cut deeper than the last. "Frances, you have embarrassed this family beyond repair. We did not raise you to throw your life away, raising another person's child. That girl is someone else's mistake. Do not bring her into our home. Do not call us grandparents. Do not contact us again expecting support. If this child matters more to you than your own family, then you have made your decision. Do not come back." "Mother." Frances stopped breathing. The apartment suddenly felt painfully quiet. In the bedroom, Lily stirred softly in her crib. Frances stared at the letter for several long seconds. Every childhood memory suddenly made sense. Every moment she begged for approval. Every time love disappeared whenever she disappointed them. Conditional. Everything had always been conditional. Tears slid silently down her face. Then she folded the letter carefully. Not angrily. Carefully. Like some part of her already knew one day it would matter. She placed it inside a wooden memory box beneath her bed. Then she walked into Lily's room. The baby blinked awake immediately. Frances picked her up slowly. "Listen to me," she whispered while rocking gently. "I don't care what anybody says. You are wanted, you are loved, and I will never abandon you." Lily rested her tiny head against Frances's shoulder. And for the first time all day, Frances stopped feeling alone. The next 14 years were brutal. There were nights Frances skipped dinner so Lily could eat properly. Winters where the apartment heater barely worked. Birthdays celebrated with homemade decorations because money was tight. But somehow, Lily never complained. Even as a little girl, she noticed everything. At age 5, she once handed Frances half a sandwich. "You forgot your lunch again," she said seriously. Frances nearly burst into tears. At school, children sometimes asked uncomfortable questions. "Where are your real parents?" Lily always answered immediately. "She is my real parent." Every single time Frances heard those words, something inside her healed. But holidays were harder, especially Christmas. Store windows glowed with giant family dinners and smiling grandparents. Lily would stare quietly, never asking directly. But Frances knew. One snowy evening when Lily was 7, she finally whispered, "Did your parents hate me?" Frances felt her heart shatter. She sat beside Lily quietly on the couch. "No," she answered softly. "They just cared more about pride than love." Lily frowned. "Because I'm adopted." Frances cupped her face gently. "No, because some people don't understand what family really means." Lily stayed quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question Frances feared most. "Do you regret choosing me?" Frances immediately pulled her into a hug. "Never," she whispered. "Not once." And she meant it. Not during the exhausting nights. Not during the loneliness. Not during the financial struggles. Because Lily wasn't the burden. Lily was the reason Frances survived. By age 10, Lily already understood her mother carried invisible pain. Sometimes late at night, she would walk into the kitchen and find Frances sitting alone at the table, staring silently into nothing. Like she was remembering something painful. Lily never interrupted. She simply remembered. Then one Saturday afternoon, everything changed. Frances was working overtime. Lily cleaned the apartment trying to surprise her. While organizing beneath the bed, she accidentally knocked over the wooden memory box. Old photographs spilled across the floor. Hospital bracelets, adoption paperwork, and the letter. Lily recognized her grandmother's handwriting immediately from old birthday cards. She hesitated, then slowly unfolded the paper. By the second sentence, her hands started shaking. Someone else's mistake. Do not call us grandparents. Do not come back. Lily stared at those words for a very long time. Not because she felt ashamed, because suddenly everything made sense. The missing grandparents, the silence around family, the sadness in Frances's eyes during holidays. Lily carefully folded the letter again, exactly the way she found it, then placed it back into the box. She never mentioned it. Not that day. Not for years. But something changed inside her afterward. A quiet determination. She studied harder, worked harder, pushed herself harder, not to prove her worth, but because she understood something important now. Her mother had sacrificed everything for her. Everything. And one day, the truth deserved to be heard. By the time Lily turned 13, people at school talked about her constantly. Honor student, science competition winner, volunteer tutor. Teachers adored her. Parents praised her. And eventually, the attention reached Margaret Carter. It started with a Facebook post. A local newspaper shared a photo of Lily holding an academic award beside her principal. Beneath the article sat a comment. So proud of our granddaughter. Margaret Carter. Frances froze when she saw it. After 13 years of silence, suddenly they wanted credit. No apology. No accountability. Just pride. 2 days later, her father called unexpectedly. We heard Lily is doing very well, he said awkwardly. No hello. No apology. Frances gripped the phone tightly. She is. A long silence followed. Then finally, your mother thinks maybe we should reconnect. Reconnect. As if they had simply drifted apart naturally. As if they hadn't abandoned her completely. Still, part of Frances hesitated. Because despite everything, some wounded part of her still wanted parents. Still wanted healing. So against her better judgment, she agreed to dinner. The restaurant was expensive. Margaret arrived dressed perfectly, smiling brightly like nothing had happened. There she is, she exclaimed dramatically when Lily walked in. Lily smiled politely. Polite, not warm. Margaret spent the entire dinner bragging about Lily's achievements to everyone nearby. She gets her intelligence from our side of the family, she laughed loudly. Frances nearly choked on her drink. Lily looked at her grandmother quietly, then asked softly, which part of the family? The table fell silent instantly. Margaret forced a laugh, but Lily already knew exactly who they were, and exactly what they had done. After dinner, Frances and Lily walked home quietly beneath the streetlights. Finally, Frances sighed. You didn't have to do that. Yes, Lily answered calmly. I did. Frances looked at her. Lily's expression stayed soft, but there was pain hidden underneath it now. The kind created by discovering people rejected you before even knowing you. Mom, Lily whispered carefully, why did you never tell me about the letter? Frances stopped walking, because suddenly she understood. Lily knew. Somehow she knew. Frances's chest tightened. You found it. Lily nodded slowly. A long time ago. Frances closed her eyes briefly. Not angry. Just sad. I didn't want you carrying that pain. Lily looked at her mother quietly. You carried it alone instead. That sentence nearly broke Frances. Because it was true. For 14 years, she had protected everyone except herself. Even the people who hurt her most. Lily gently grabbed her hand. You know what I realized after reading it? Frances swallowed hard. What? Lily smiled faintly. That they were wrong. Tears instantly filled Frances's eyes. Because deep down, part of her had always feared the letter was true. But Lily continued softly. If I was really a mistake, then why did loving me make your life better? Frances completely broke down crying right there on the sidewalk. And Lily hugged her tightly. Just like Frances once held her years ago. The roles had slowly started changing now. The little girl Frances rescued had grown into someone strong enough to protect her back. And neither of them realized yet. The biggest moment was still coming. 3 months later, Lily was called into the principal's office. She assumed she was in trouble. Instead, the principal smiled proudly. Congratulations, he said. You've been selected as this year's middle school valedictorian. Lily froze. Valedictorian. Highest grades in the entire school. The principal handed her a folder. You'll be giving a speech at graduation. That night, Frances cried harder than Lily did. My daughter is valedictorian, she whispered repeatedly like she couldn't believe it. For the next several weeks, Lily worked constantly on her speech. Draft after draft. Late nights at the kitchen table. Sometimes Frances noticed her staring quietly at blank pages for long periods. You okay? She asked one evening. Lily nodded. Just thinking. But the truth was, Lily already knew exactly what she wanted to say. Because for years, she had watched her mother suffer silently. Watched her smile through exhaustion. Watched her choose love every single day without recognition. And Lily had decided something important. The world deserved to know the truth. Not because she wanted revenge. Because silence protects the wrong people. Meanwhile, Margaret suddenly became very involved again. She called often, asked about graduation, even offered to buy Lily a dress. Frances found it surreal. After 13 years of rejection, now they wanted front row seats to success. Still no apology. Still no accountability. Just performance. One evening, Margaret called excitedly. We already told everyone at church about Lily's speech, she said proudly. Frances closed her eyes. Of course she had. Appearances. Always appearances. Mom, Frances said quietly, why are you doing this now? Margaret sounded offended immediately. She's family. Frances nearly laughed. Family. The same child she once called someone else's mistake. But before Frances could answer, Margaret continued. We'd like to sit in the front row. Frances looked toward Lily across the apartment. Her daughter sat at the table, quietly writing. Focused. Calm. And suddenly, Frances felt uneasy. Because deep down, something told her Lily had been preparing for this moment far longer than anyone realized. Graduation night arrived warm and clear. The school gymnasium overflowed with families holding flowers and cameras. 300 people filled the seats. Proud parents, teachers, grandparents, students laughing nervously. Frances sat in the front row clutching tissues she pretended she didn't need. Beside her sat Margaret and Thomas Carter, perfectly dressed, smiling proudly, as though history had been erased. Then the principal stepped toward the microphone. This year's valedictorian, Lily Carter. The crowd erupted into applause. Frances instantly burst into tears. Lily walked calmly toward the podium wearing the navy blue dress Frances spent months saving to buy. Beautiful, confident, steady. She adjusted the microphone slowly, smiled politely, then began. Most speeches tonight are probably going to be about success or dreams, Lily said clearly. But I want to talk about family. The gym quieted immediately. My mother adopted me when she was 26 years old. She was single, financially struggling, and terrified, but she chose me anyway. Frances covered her mouth. Lily looked directly toward her. She gave me love before she even knew whether the world would support her for it. Soft applause filled the room. Then Lily reached into her folder and removed a folded piece of paper. Frances froze instantly. No, not that. Please. Lily unfolded the letter carefully. The day my adoption became official, she said quietly, my mother received this letter from her parents. Margaret's smile vanished immediately. Thomas turned pale. The audience leaned forward. Lily inhaled slowly, then began reading. You have embarrassed this family beyond repair. The gym fell silent. That girl is someone else's mistake. A shocked gasp rippled through the crowd. Do not call us grandparents. Do not come back. Silence. Absolute silence. Frances sat frozen, while tears streamed down her face. Margaret stared downward in horror. Not because she regretted writing the letter, because everyone finally knew. Lily folded the paper slowly, then looked toward the crowd. I found this letter when I was 10 years old, she said calmly, and for years I wondered if I should hate the people who wrote it. Nobody moved. Nobody even breathed loudly. But eventually, I realized something important. She turned toward Frances. Without this letter, I might never have understood how brave my mother really was. Frances completely broke down crying. Lily's voice softened. Because despite being abandoned by her own family, she never let me feel abandoned for even 1 second. The first applause came from a teacher in the back. Then another. Then suddenly, the entire gym stood. A standing ovation thundered through the room. Margaret Carter sat frozen, while hundreds of people applauded the daughter she once rejected. But Lily still wasn't finished. Tonight I'm not sharing his letter for revenge, she continued. I'm sharing it because children deserve honesty, and because the person who deserved recognition all along was my mother. By now, nearly everyone in the gym was crying. Even teachers, even parents, even students. And for the first time in 14 years, Frances Carter no longer felt ashamed, because the truth had finally spoken for itself. And this time, the entire world listened. The standing ovation lasted nearly a full minute. Parents wiped tears from their faces. Teachers stared at Lily in disbelief. Some students looked toward Margaret Carter with open disgust. Frances could barely breathe. She sat frozen, while tears streamed endlessly down her face. For 14 years, she had carried that humiliation silently. 14 years, protecting people who never protected her. And now, her daughter had shattered that silence in front of everyone. Lily stepped away from the podium calmly. No arrogance, no anger, just truth. The principal approached her slowly. That may have been the bravest speech I've ever heard, he whispered. Lily smiled politely. Thank you. Then she walked straight toward Frances. The moment they hugged, the crowd erupted into applause again. Margaret Carter remained seated, humiliated, not because she regretted the letter, because people finally saw who she really was. Thomas looked devastated beside her. He opened his mouth several times like he wanted to say something, but no words came out. Meanwhile, parents surrounded Frances immediately. "You raised an incredible daughter. You should be proud." That speech changed something inside me. Frances cried harder with every compliment, because most of her life had been filled with criticism. Never recognition, never appreciation. And now suddenly strangers understood her sacrifice better than her own parents ever had. Then Margaret finally stood. Her expression hardened. She marched toward Frances immediately. "How could you allow that?" she hissed quietly. Frances stared at her in disbelief. Still no apology. Still no accountability. Only anger about embarrassment. Before Frances could answer, Lily stepped between them. "She didn't allow anything," Lily said calmly. "I made that decision myself." Margaret looked stunned. That was private family business. Lily's expression never changed. "You made it public the day you abandoned us." Silence. Thomas finally spoke softly. "Lily, we made mistakes." Lily nodded once. "Yes, you did." No screaming. No cruelty. And somehow that honesty hurt more. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. But Lily noticed something immediately. Those tears weren't about regret. They were about image. Because hundreds of people were watching. For the first time in Margaret Carter's life, appearances couldn't save her. Outside the gymnasium, students crowded around Lily. Some crying. Some thanking her. One girl hugged her tightly. "My dad left when I was little," she whispered. "Your speech made me feel less ashamed." Lily hugged her back instantly. Frances watched from nearby with tears in her eyes. Because suddenly, she understood something powerful. The speech wasn't just revenge anymore. It had become permission. Permission for other people to stop hiding painful truths. That night, the graduation video spread online. Parents uploaded clips. Teachers reposted emotional moments. Within hours, thousands of people had watched Lily read the letter aloud. By morning, it had gone viral. Frances woke up to 37 missed calls. Her phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Coworkers, old classmates, people she hadn't spoken to in years, even reporters. The graduation speech had exploded online overnight. Millions of views. Comments flooded endlessly. "Your mother is a hero." "This made me cry." "Protect Lily Carter at all costs." "Real family is love." Frances felt overwhelmed. She wasn't used to attention. At work, coworkers hugged her before she even reached her desk. One elderly customer grabbed her hand tearfully. "I wish someone loved me the way you loved your daughter," she whispered. Frances nearly broke down crying again. Meanwhile, Lily stayed calm. No ego. No excitement. She still studied for exams. Still helped classmates with homework. Still cleaned the apartment after dinner. But across town, Margaret Carter's perfect reputation was collapsing. Church members whispered. Neighbors talked. Old friends suddenly remembered how Frances disappeared years earlier. And for the first time in her life, Margaret faced consequences she couldn't control. That terrified her. She called Frances repeatedly. Ignored. Then messages started arriving. "We need to talk. People are misunderstanding things." You know, the letter was writ emotionally. Frances deleted every single one. Because suddenly, she understood something clearly. Her mother still cared more about public opinion than emotional damage. Nothing had changed. Then one evening, someone knocked on the apartment door. Frances opened it slowly. Margaret stood outside. Exhausted. Furious. Desperate. "Can I come in?" Frances hesitated, then stepped aside silently. Margaret entered carefully, looking around the tiny apartment. The same apartment she once considered beneath her. But now every wall carried framed photos of Lily. Science awards, school certificates, happy memories, a real home. Margaret noticed immediately. And somehow, that bothered her. Because despite all her predictions, Frances hadn't ruined her life. She had built something beautiful without them. Margaret sat stiffly on the couch. Finally, she sighed dramatically. You should have stopped her from reading that letter. Frances almost laughed. After everything, that was still her concern. You wrote it, Frances answered quietly. Margaret crossed her arms. I was upset. For 14 years. Silence. Margaret looked irritated immediately. You embarrassed this family publicly. Frances stared at her mother, then slowly shook her head. No, you did that yourself. Margaret's expression hardened. You always were dramatic. That sentence hit Frances harder than expected, because suddenly she realized something painful. Her mother genuinely believed herself to be the victim. Even now, even after abandoning her daughter. Frances sat down slowly across from her. Do you know what hurt the most? She whispered. Margaret stayed silent. Not the letter. Her mother frowned slightly. It was realizing you never once asked if Lily was okay. Silence filled the apartment. You didn't care whether she was safe, or healthy, or loved. You only cared that she made you uncomfortable. Margaret looked away. For the first time, guilt finally flickered across her face. Small, but real. Then footsteps approached. Lily entered the living room, carrying grocery bags. She stopped instantly after seeing Margaret. The room became tense immediately. Margaret stood awkwardly. Hello, Lily. Lily nodded politely. Grandma. The title sounded distant. Formal. Not affectionate. Margaret swallowed hard. I think we need to move forward from all this, she said carefully. Lily stared at her quietly, then asked softly, move forward without accountability. The room went silent. Margaret looked stunned, as if nobody had ever spoken to her that directly before. Lily slowly placed the grocery bags onto the kitchen counter. You called me someone else's mistake before you even met me, she said calmly. Silence. Margaret tried forcing a smile. You have to understand, I was emotional back then. Lily's expression never changed. You weren't emotional for one day, she answered softly. You disappeared for 14 years. That sentence landed harder than shouting ever could. Thomas appeared quietly in the apartment doorway a few seconds later. He looked exhausted. Older. Smaller somehow. When his eyes met Frances's, guilt immediately flooded his face. I came to bring her home, he said quietly. Nobody moved. Nobody answered. Thomas looked toward Lily. I'm sorry, he whispered. Lily studied him carefully. Not angrily. Carefully. Because unlike Margaret, Thomas actually looked ashamed. I should have said something years ago, he admitted. I knew the letter was wrong. Frances felt something twist painfully inside her chest. Because that confession hurt almost as much as the letter itself. He knew, and still stayed silent. Thomas continued quietly. I thought eventually your mother would calm down. I thought time would fix it. Frances laughed bitterly. Time didn't fix it, Lily did. Silence filled the apartment again. Margaret suddenly looked furious. So now I'm the villain, she snapped. Nobody answered, which somehow made it worse. Margaret's breathing became uneven. I spent my whole life trying to protect this family's reputation. Frances stared at her mother in disbelief. There it is, she whispered. Margaret frowned. That's always what mattered most to you, reputation. Her mother's eyes filled with tears immediately. But Frances noticed something important. Even now, Margaret still wasn't apologizing for the pain, only for the consequences. Lily stepped forward quietly. "You know what the saddest part is?" she asked. Margaret looked at her. "My mom still defended you." That hit Margaret harder than anything else had. "She never poisoned me against you, never called you cruel, never tried making me hate you." Frances looked down silently. Because it was true. For years, she had protected her parents from Lily's anger, even when they didn't deserve it. Lily's voice softened. "I learned who you were from your own words, not hers." Margaret completely broke. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly, like something inside her finally cracked. She sat down slowly on the couch and covered her face. And for the first time in Frances's life, her mother looked small, not powerful, not intimidating, just deeply broken. Thomas sat beside her silently. The apartment felt painfully heavy. Finally, Margaret whispered something barely audible. "I didn't think you'd actually go through with it." Frances frowned. "What?" "The adoption," Margaret whispered through tears. "I thought if I pushed hard enough, you'd choose us." Frances stared at her mother in shock. And suddenly, something clicked into place. The letter was never just rejection. It was control, a punishment, an ultimatum. Choose the family or lose the family. But Frances had chosen love instead. And Margaret never forgave her for it. Tears slid down Frances's face quietly. Because deep down, some wounded part of her had spent 14 years believing she simply wasn't enough. But now she finally understood. The problem had never been her. It was her mother's need for control. Lily walked toward Frances slowly, then wrapped her arm around her shoulders. And in that moment, Frances realized something powerful. The little girl everyone called a mistake had become the strongest person in the room. A month later, Lily stood on another stage, this time inside a massive ballroom downtown. Crystal chandeliers glowed overhead, while cameras flashed across the room. She had been selected for a National Youth Leadership Award after her valedictorian speech spread across the country. The audience applauded loudly as Lily walked to the podium. Frances sat in the front row, wearing the same navy blue dress she bought years ago for church events she was no longer invited to. But tonight, she didn't feel rejected. She felt proud, truly proud. The presenter smiled warmly. "Some people inherit greatness," he said. "Others become great because someone believed in them first." Then he turned toward Frances. "And tonight we honor both." The room erupted into applause. Frances immediately covered her face, crying. Lily accepted the award calmly, then stepped toward the microphone. For a moment, she simply looked toward her mother, the woman who worked double shifts, skipped meals, cried silently at kitchen tables, and still somehow filled their tiny apartment with love. Then Lily smiled softly. "People keep calling me inspiring," she began. "But honestly, the inspiring person is my mom." The audience quieted instantly. "She taught me that family isn't the people who share your blood. Family is the people who stay." Frances cried harder. "She taught me that love is proven through consistency, not biology." Several people in the audience wiped their eyes. Lily continued calmly. "When my grandparents rejected me, my mother could have become bitter, angry, cruel." She glanced briefly toward the crowd. But she didn't. She chose kindness anyway. Then her voice softened. "And that's the real reason I shared the letter." The room stayed completely silent. Not for revenge. She smiled faintly. But because children should never feel ashamed for being unwanted by broken people. Frances felt her breath catch. Broken people. Not evil. Not monsters. Broken. and somehow that truth felt even more powerful. Lily looked toward her mother again. "You spent years worrying that choosing me cost you your family." Frances wiped tears from her face slowly. Lily smiled. "But Mom," her voice cracked slightly, "I was your family." The audience erupted into applause. People stood instantly, some crying openly, some hugging each other. And Frances, she completely broke down. Because after 14 years of carrying guilt, shame, loneliness, and rejection, she finally understood something clearly. She had never lost her family. She created one, a better one. Later that night, Frances and Lily sat together on the apartment rooftop eating cheap takeout beneath the city lights. Still the same tiny apartment. Still the same old building. But now it felt different somehow. Peaceful. Lily leaned against her shoulder. "You know what's funny?" she asked softly. Frances smiled through tears. "What?" "Grandma said adopting me would ruin your life." Frances laughed quietly, then looked at her daughter, the child who became her greatest blessing. "No," she whispered. She kissed Lily gently on the forehead. "Adopting you saved it. And for the first time in years, neither of them needed anyone else's approval to know it was true." The end. If this story touched you, comment below. What truly defines family? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Revenge Vault for more unforgettable stories of betrayal, truth, and revenge.